Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description. 1500 effective, 2510. Go ahead.
All right, so hijack raises to 35. The cutoff calls, and I'm in the straddle with King Jack off, and I make the call as well.
Okay, so hero in straddle with King Jack offsuit, and you call. So we see it three ways to what, for about 105, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. The flop is Jack Deuce Deuce.
Yep.
I check. The cutoff makes a small bet, 35.
Mm-hmm.
The cutoff folds, and I call.
The MP1 bets, right? 35 or whatever. Who opened? Hijack.
Yeah, the original raise.
Hijack. Yeah. 35 cutoff folds, and hero calls. Okay.
Yep. Turn is an 8, and it brings a backdoor flush draw with one of the deuces, and it checks through.
So the turn is an 8 with one of the deuces. So I'm going to put this up as Jack of Hearts, Deuce of Spades, Deuce of Clubs. Let's say the turn's the 8 of Clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I have the blocker to Jack X with a flush draw.
So
I have the Jack card that would that connects with the flush card.
So I'm going to put this as King Jack with the Jack of Clubs.
Yeah.
Okay. Check.
Checks through.
Let me guess. The river's a club.
No, it is not.
Oh, okay. I thought it.
I'm not totally sure that the backdoor flush draw is relevant, but we'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah.
So the river's a 6, and I think it makes sense to lead here, and I lead for 100. And
okay.
The original raiser raises to 325.
Hijack to 325. So just doing the math here, so it's 275 and then 6. So it's 275 and 600, 225 for you to call, right? Something like that, just under 3 to 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because I say that usually the spot is kind of a. I'm actually going to talk about a hand on my podcast this week where I got raised on the river. And I've always said, people have given Crush Live Poker or my approach a lot of shit early on about bet folding. And I'm like, I don't always bet fold when it doesn't make sense. And I bet called the river. The hand absolutely made no sense. But I was a pre-flop raiser. So it was a little bit different. But you should check that one out when it comes out on Tuesday. It was with Queen Jack of Hearts. And if you guys hear this on YouTube and you sub to Crush Live Poker, September 13th's podcast February 13th from 2018, I'll be covering this hand. I mean, he could have run into pocket 6s here, right? And also he could think that he's playing cagey with like pocket 8s. I'm trying to think about if he would ever check back turn to raise the river with an overpair here too. And I've seen guys do that, and occasionally I've made that play. The thing is that you can't always expect the guy from up front to bet like a weak jack, especially on a rainbow board. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I think your hand is strong enough to value bet though. Even though you don't really miss a whole lot, but you're just sort of maybe like Queen Jack and below is a check, but like Ace Jack and King Jack are bets, or Jack 8, you know what I mean? Something like that. Just seems like you've got such a strong hand here given the bet check line. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Like when I get these pot odds, I usually just call, but it seems sort of weird that like a bluff here would be for this small. You know what I mean? I'd almost feel better about like if you made it 500 or something. Also, too, you didn't you didn't bet small at the end either. It's not like you bet 50 at the end and he was going to give up on it and then he thought, oh, I can move this guy off his hand. And it's such a small raise. I mean, so it's, like I said, it's 225 for 600. Are you good here 1 out of 4 times? It sucks if he has aces, kings, or queens and he's played it this way. Or if he somehow has like ace jack and he played it this way. I guess he could also, I don't know how wide this guy opens. I'm trying to think like jack 6 suited. That's sort of wide from the hijack. I mean, those are more button ranges, which would of course be 2 pair that beats any jack.
I think he probably, jack 6 is pretty low.
Right.
I would think Jack 8 would do it,
Right.
would open here.
I
And
think
I
Jack 8
mean,
bets the turn, though, a lot.
right.
Um,
And I would
yeah.
say, I actually think this guy, I played with him a little bit. I do think he would c-bet with sixes and eights.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that's like definitely his range. And I also think he would do it with like higher pairs than that. When I was betting, I was sort of going at either a weak jack or a hand like tens or nines.
Yeah. But the
And I was
problem,
trying to get called.
it's good that you close the action on the flop. Again, I like this bet a lot more. This is a slam dunk bet on the river for you if there's a front door flush draw that bricks out. Because you just you can get called by ace highs. You know what I mean? On this board, because there's no flush draw and there's no real draw, it's just like you have to actually value bet a little bit less often because you just don't have that many hands here that don't connect. So the whole way this hand is sort of set up is you have a lot of value when you bet the river here. So this should never really be a bluff. So I don't know. It's pretty close. Maybe I'm leaning more towards a fold. I think it's just one of these things where it's probably going to be very close either way, and I wouldn't fret over it. You know what I mean? Like, would you call a min raise to 200?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So it's like, how much do you call? Did you end up folding or what?
I did fold.
Yeah.
I feel like I tend to have the leak where like I just pay off way too much.
Yeah.
So I have as like a point of emphasis going into the last couple of sessions, like I've tried to think like, like fold more, especially when you get like reaggress.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I show some strength and someone raises like even making folds that like aren't theoretical folds.
Right.
I do also think this is kind of close to the bottom of my leading range on the river. Like I do have.
Oh, I think it is. It is the absolute bottom of your leading range. Like I said, I mean, I would probably check Queen Jack and below, and King Jack on a rainbow board is probably very close. I mean, I think this is the bare bottom of your value range here.
Yeah, I mean, I would think I have a deuce every once in a while, and I have maybe some hands like eights that, especially closed in the action, I might call a small bet on the flop.
So you're saying the way that you
maybe even sixes.
So you're saying that you're looking at this like, all right, I'm going to fold off the bottom parts of my value range. Look at like my hand as a scope, right? Like on the river, a range of, like obviously you have a value hand. You're getting raised, so you're going to fold off the worst parts of your value range, and I think that's probably a pretty good approach. So, did you end up seeing what he had or anything?
He showed one card, which it could go either way for me. He showed a queen.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense as queens. It makes sense
queens
as just like a brick, like king, queen, or something
but
like
it's
that.
Not, but it's not. It's not. It's certainly not queen jack, right? You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, I think
that would be a pure spaz to me. Like that would be. I don't know what you're trying to do with queen jack. Like if you're trying to get me to fold a jack or a deuce, like deuces or queens or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, the thing about queens that's sort of weird though too is that if you were to look at the superior overpairs to check on the turn, queens is
not queens.
Queens is not one of them. Maybe aces or kings, but not queens. Especially if you're peeling with a fair amount of ace highs too on the flop, which you might.
I really wanted to call. I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
That this guy bet this, and I think like a week ago, I for sure would have like snapped this off. That I don't think this makes any sense, but I don't know.
I know. I think it's probably pretty close. I could see folding. I could see calling. All right, buddy. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.